Like 15 minutes later, this dude responds to me. He's like, hey, stuff looks good. Would you mind making some clips out of this video? And I'm like, yeah, like this is the time in my life to take a risk for a high reward. I should do that.
Dude, shit, like this is my only client. I don't know what I'm gonna do. But you said a comment, you're like, dude, this is gonna be a good thing.
One of the things that people have to know about video editing and video career and just freelancing in general is that your relationships are 80% responsible for your success. 20% is how good you are as a video editor. Here's what AI is good at, and here's what it's not good at.
All right, welcome back to the podcast. This is episode 2, and I have Jordy Long as my first guest. And I've worked with Jordy for a couple of years, and he's probably created, 10,000 thumbnails, 5,000 clips, and he works with all of huge clients, the All In Podcast, Dave Rubin, Anthony Pompliano, Shawn Ryan, David Rutherford, and he's a beast. So I'm excited to have Jordy on the podcast today.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. It's good to be here. Known you for a long time now, and we go way back. And so you got to teach your audience the Tyler battle cry. Just you got to let out a big ooh when you start the podcast.
I know, dude. I thought about starting each podcast with that. Just be like, ooh, welcome back.
Oh, dude, you need to do that. That's your signature, dude.
All right. Well, from now on, I'm going to do that. I don't care. That's legit. Dope. Yeah, I'm excited for this. So I want to start. You wrote a newsletter one time of how you bought a $500 camera, had no connections, not much experience, and you built that into a 6-figure freelance business. So how did you start, and why did you decide to get into video editing? And how did that all begin?
So this is a good story about starting over, and starting over is one of the hardest things that people can do in life. I got in that situation because I was actually a musician, professional musician. I went to school for music. Even before that, I grew up playing music. I had a musical family. Ended up going to college to study music as my major. Started working around Indianapolis as a professional musician. I was mainly a drummer. I did some other things here and there. Started doing that scene, and for whatever reason, I realized there's a problem with that, because as much as I love playing music, making it, creating it, writing it, performing it, all of that, I love it so much. There's a difference between your creative outlet and what you do for your job and to make money and to serve other people in the business world. Those can sometimes be the same thing, but it took me a while to realize that they don't have to be the same thing. Those are two completely different goals. If you can do both at the same time, great. If you can't, that's also fine. So what I realized was I was doing all these different random gigs. I was teaching private lessons. I was doing camps. I was doing recording studio stuff and running everywhere. And I had my little Honda CRV packing up my drums because I had to drive a mom car because that was the only thing that was reliable, could handle Indiana winters, and also fit my whole drum set and equipment in there. And so I'm driving my CRV around Indianapolis, random gigs, all hours of the night, whatever, and then not even making that much money. And then by the grace of God, some wisdom struck me, and I realized the end of the road for that game. And I'm like, if I crush it and I do really well at this current job, I'm going to be working from weird hours, late into the night, early morning, stuff like that, and fully booked, be on the road all of the time, and I'm going to make $70,000 a year. That's if I win. And I'm like, wait a minute, I don't even know if I want to win that prize. It's like entering a race, and then you're like, wait, the prize is like a pack of gum. You're like, I don't even know if I want to run this marathon anymore. Like that's not even worth it. And so that caused some kind of a slight identity crisis inside of myself. And then that led me to realize, well, there's creativity, and then there's your vocation, right? Or what you do for your work. And I thought, okay, well, this is my first lesson I learned with business. You should sell things that people want and they'll pay money for. That's usually a good strategy. And so it dawned on me, I'm just sitting here. I've got my musical skills. I've got some production skills. And I literally thought, okay, I want to do something else for work. What can I do to make money? What will people pay for? And I just started meeting with different business people around the town, either people my parents knew or my friends knew or other musicians that I worked with, different different people who had companies. But I was like, I want to go into business for myself, but I don't know what that looks like. Ended up talking to a guy who's a real estate agent in Indiana. He still is. And he was a real estate agent, was about to transition to having his own brokerage. And I just met with him for coffee, just the classic coffee meeting. Very powerful if you do them right. And told him who I was, what I'm doing, what I'm looking for, wanted his advice on business because he was a successful guy. And so he started asking me things like, well, do you know how to use a camera? Do you do any video stuff? Because I told him I did some production things. And this is where the slight hustling comes in. I was like, yes.
You always say
shot
yes.
video before. Absolutely.
Yes, figure it out.
I've shot a video before, which was like true. Not like professional videographer. I've used a camera before. Yeah. Let me put it that way. But I was like, yes. And he said, well, we need a lot of social media videos and listing videos for houses. Do you think that's something that you could do? And I was like, yes. And so I didn't know what that was going to turn into. I just thought, hey, this is a skill that I have, kind of. Someone's willing to pay for it. Looks like there's more demand because one thing I learned is that there's more businesses that need a videographer and a video editor than a drum set player, turns out. And so I thought, let me go for it. So in that meeting, I go to YouTube University, look up every video on how to use a camera, what camera should I buy, how to film videos, how to edit videos, which is deep in YouTube University for like 2 weeks straight. I probably had $500 to my name, spent all of that on a Panasonic mirrorless camera. And that's all I had. I was like, I'm going all in. What do I have to lose? I'm probably 23 or something at the time.
Yeah.
And so I do that, buy my camera, start filming videos for him, figure it out. I do good enough for the first couple of videos. I happened to find a client who just wanted to use social media more and in more creative ways than your typical real estate agent. And so I had a lot of work from him and from that brokerage. Got my experience with them. It also put me inside of a team of people who are all focused together. And that's important too, just being by myself. It was nice to be kind of part of a team. And then we go to some business, interviewing some local business around town for why you should move to Zionsville, Indiana or something. And that business guy is like, an eye doctor says, oh, you do video? We need to do social media stuff too. I love that phrase. We need to do social media. And he's like, can you do some videos for us? And I'm like, yes. And so I get a client there and then we do more stuff. And he's like, well, my buddy who's got a carpentry business, or woodworking business, he needs some videos. You should go talk to him. And I'm like, sounds good to me. So I end up building this kind of freelance loose list of clients around Indianapolis, end up getting a decent living, middle class or median wage kind of job, and kind of just built that out of nothing. And the key thing though, and I'll stop after this because I've been ranting, is that I kept my overhead so low. I didn't spend any money. All I did was work. And if I'd make money, I'd be able to save it. And then you understand this, I had my $500 camera. I'm like, well, I need a little microphone for on top of that. That's really important. So I got the microphone, do a few more gigs. Well, man, it'd be really nice if I had a lapel mic. So I got a little lavalier mic, right? And now my audio is better. Then he wants to do an interview and I'm like, well, I really should get 2 cameras for that. That'd be way better. So I bought another camera. And then over time I added a 3rd camera. Then I got a nice carrying case and I just reinvested literally everything for years and ended up having my whole video equipment, set up and my nice laptop and things, and had this kind of loose videography freelance business in Indianapolis. And so I'll pause there. That's how I started.
Yeah, that's nuts. And a fun fact is that Jordy performed at a Super Bowl halftime show.
I did. Yeah,
and then,
with Madonna.
Dude, that's crazy. And yeah, I mean, we've watched it a couple times on YouTube. And after doing that, did you kind of view that as like maybe the peak of like what you can do with music, or did that like want to make you go into music more, or did that not really have any impact on like where you saw yourself going as a musician?
That's a very interesting question that no one's ever asked me. So I actually, in one sense, it was a peak of some sort because there's not very many musical performances that get more eyeballs than the Super Bowl halftime show every year. That's true. But it's not like it's not like it was me doing the Super Bowl halftime show. It's not like Jordy Long's hired for the halftime show. That would have felt like I peaked. But I was just a drummer inside of Madonna's giant drum line, right? They just got like all the local high school drummers to do this performance. And so actually the main thing I took away from that, which is interesting in a different way, is you think, you're doing your gigs. So you get your normal gigs, right? Around the town. You get there, you rehearse, you try to work through the problems. What are we going to play? Okay, let's do it like this. No, not like that. Let's play it like that. Okay, cool. We got to get our setup ready for the show. All right, we've set up everything. Let's do it. All right, now we got to pack up everything, go home. Just like a normal rhythm of a normal gig. And then I'm like, whoa, I'm going to play in the Super Bowl halftime show. It's got to be this like crazy thing. I can't even imagine what's going to happen. Madonna's involved. Like, I can't wait to see this. And you show up at your first practice at Lucas Oil Stadium, right? And you get there and you unload your stuff and you all stand around and then you go, all right, well, what should we do for this first segment? All right, I guess we'll play this. Here's your music. You should probably learn that. So I learn it. And then we just run it a few times. And then we get to the gig the day of the Super Bowl and we all kind of just stand around with our equipment ready, get dressed. We go in there, we do the show. And then afterwards we like, all right, time to pack up and go home. And to me, it was just uniquely normal. It was a Super Bowl halftime show. It was supposed to be this crazy thing that no one experiences and all this stuff. And it was just the most normal gig. And I'm like, it woke me up to the idea that at the top levels of things, it's just normal people showing up, doing the same work, doing the same things that everybody else does. It's just on a different level or a bigger audience, or there's more money involved, right? But at the end of the day, it's just normal people that are just like you, doing the same stuff you do. And so that actually opens you up because you think, well, I could have like a crazy agency, a huge freelance business, or start my own, like you're doing your own podcast or your agency, because guess what? The people at the top of those games, they're just normal people, just like you, showing up to work every day, probably a little bit tired, got too much on their plate, and they figure it out. It's the same thing at every level. So that should actually inspire people to go for big things because, dude, they're just normal people and you're just normal people. You can do it.
Dude, that's a great answer. I have never even thought about it that way. It's kind of the same way when I've met, I don't know, like Jake Paul and Shahidi and all these guys that I've like looked up to and watched on the internet for years. It's like once you meet them, like, oh, that's just like a normal dude. Everyone just seems like so normal.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So you're working a bunch of side gigs. And how did you come across Anthony Pompliano, and then how did you transition to moving to Miami and basically producing and editing his podcast?
Well, it all starts with Peter Schiff.
Oh,
as all
Uncle
good stories
Pete.
do. Uncle Pete, Big Pete, dude. The real answer is that I was a follower and subscriber and listener to Anthony Pompliano first. When 2020 happened and all of that stuff happened, I'm actually kind of a nerd at heart. I know we're talking about videos and music and stuff. I'm interested in so many different topics, right? And so 2020 happens and the economy crashes. And before that, I thought, I understand the economy and the stock market. It makes sense to me. Businesses do stuff, they sell things, and the more they sell, the better their stock does, right? Pretty simple. That's how the stock market works. And then when COVID happened, everything gets shut down. We're all shut down. The stock market crashes. I'm like, okay, got it. Makes sense because no one's selling anything. Their stock price goes down. I understand the economy perfectly. I'm a genius. And then everyone knows what happened now. The market just screamed upwards, like record highs, everything. And I'm sitting here looking at this and it broke my brain because I thought, now nothing I see makes sense anymore. I have no understanding of the economy. Because in my understanding, this should not be happening. But why is this happening in the world? And so I just go down rabbit holes like me and you do. You just go down your favorite YouTube rabbit hole and you get sucked in, right? Mm-hmm. And so I start going down the economic rabbit holes. That actually ends up leading me to the gold bugs first. I found out about gold and that whole philosophy first. And then that's where I find Uncle Pete, Big Pete.
Big Pete.
And it was probably like a Joe Rogan podcast with Peter Schiff or something like that. I probably watched first. And I'm like, this guy makes some good points. He sounds right to me. I read his books and everything. And then I see on YouTube with the lovely algorithm of YouTube, it feeds me up a video that's like a debate, quote unquote, of Peter Schiff, gold guy, versus this Bitcoin guy named Anthony Pompliano, who's like on his laptop camera in his New York apartment, right? And I'm like, click. And then I start listening to it and I'm like, that makes a lot of sense too, whatever Pomp was saying. Because as you know, I'm not going to go down this rabbit hole. The gold guys and the Bitcoin guys, they feel the same about the economy. They think that all the problems are the same. They just end on a different answer therefore you should buy gold. Therefore you should buy Bitcoin. And me being young and open-minded, I'm like, why not both? And so I start going down the Bitcoin rabbit hole. Pomp was the first guy I saw, so I just consume a lot of his interviews. He was still pretty early at the time. This was over the summer of 2020. Like summer, fall 2020. That's when I started kind of going down that rabbit hole. I think I bought like a little bit of Bitcoin. I was like, just in case. I bought like a 1 ounce of gold, which was crazy at the time, but now is like, one of my best investments ever. Mm-hmm. And so that leads me to the fall. And I'm on Twitter at the time. It was called Twitter at the time. And I'm doing my normal job and I see Pomp post something. And he's got like 450,000 followers or something on Twitter. And he's like, job posting, need a video editor. And he did like a short description. He's like, it's going to be a lot of work. It's going to be really hard. But if you're willing to grind, like, shoot me a thing. You can email. You can be anywhere in the world. You're going to be editing the podcast. Here's my email. Send me some work. Go. And I just happened to see this like 10 minutes after he posted it. Right. And so I thought about it and I'm like, well, I could edit his videos. I could totally do that. That'd be kind of a cool thing because I'm consuming all of his content anyway. I could watch it and edit it at the same time. I'm watching it anyway. And so I'm like, yeah, but he's got so many followers on Twitter. He's never even going to see my email. What's the point? And then I was like, wait, that is the point. Like, what do you have to lose? Just send the email with your stuff. Worst case, he doesn't see it and you're doing what you're doing, which is fine, right? Best case, you got a new client that's awesome and it's really interesting. And so that was a great lesson to learn of like, hey, always be just shooting your shot, always looking for options, be open-minded to anything. My initial answer, if anyone wants to talk to me about, hey, you want to work with me on this, or do you want to do this job, or you want to do that? My initial answer is always, let's talk about it. Mm-hmm. Because I don't know. I might have a gut instinct of like, no, I don't want to do that, or yes, I want to do that. But as you probably know, and I've learned a lot, sometimes you think you don't want to do something and it turns out to be something you really want to do. Sometimes you think you have a really good opportunity and it turns out to be one of the worst ones you've ever had. And so I just come in open-minded. I put together like a loose portfolio of stuff that I made, send it to him like 10 minutes after he posted it. And I'm like, cool, we'll never hear from him again. Awesome, gonna go about my day. Like 15 minutes later, this dude responds to me. He's like, hey, stuff looks good. Would you mind making some clips out of this video? And I'm like, yeah. And it's like 8 p.m. at night. I get on, I'm just working all the time anyway. I got no life. I'm just working. So I cut the clips, send it back to him. And then we get on a phone call. We introduced, it was actually with Pomp and Polina the first time. And we just talked through it. Turns out he gives me an offer that me and another editor that I didn't know at the time are both going to be working for the podcast. And here's the deal and what we're going to do. And we're going to start, next week or something, whatever it is. So we get started. Turns out that other editor was our boy, Big Matt Marlinsky. Let's go.
Matt. What a dog.
Plug legend. And we start working together remotely. And this is in the fall of 2020. And so I just added him to my list of clients, right? I was able to do his stuff remotely. I was able to do my other clients. But very quickly, he became my biggest client remotely. And that was my 2020.
Dang. Yeah, it's crazy how fast that all happened, I guess. It's like, boom, tweet, you send an email, get on a call, and then Monday. And yeah, it's just also awesome that Matt, you and I have still been working together after like 2, 3, 4 years. And especially you and Matt, you guys have been there forever. But that's crazy. And then at what point did you move down to Miami after that? Was it like a couple months or were you working on the podcast for like 6, 7 months, a year? What was that timeline of like getting down to Miami? And did you want to go to Miami or were you like, screw it. This is like a good opportunity.
Right. So this will be some foreshadowing. I'm actually in a very similar pivotal moment in my career right now that is similar to what that moment was for me back in 2021. So, there's some saying or whatever, or analogy that people talk about, like you think of a monkey swinging on vines in the jungle, right? They're just going from one. And sometimes you realize to get to that next vine, you have to let go of the vine that you're holding so that you can have the next one. Well, this was a situation where I kind of had a stable client base, right? I was working remotely. I had all this stuff. Well, then 2021 hits. Pomp hits us with, hey, man, talking to me and Matt. And me and Matt had gotten along immediately. He has a similar background to me. So we were cruising. We were having a great time. Also, shout out Caroline. She was there too. I don't want to leave her out of this, right? So it was just us three against the world. And so 2021 hits. Pomp and Paulina decide they're going to move to Miami. They bring this up to me and Matt, and they say, hey, we're moving. We want to do a live show every day in Miami from our studio. You and Matt want to move down and kind of help run the show and be in the studio and run this production, take this podcast to a new level. And I was like, man, that sounds really interesting. Potentially. Yeah. Like I said, I'm open-minded, but I'm not like, I try not to be overly enthusiastic and I try not to be pessimistic. It's good to just kind of be in the middle with stuff. And so I think about it, and I had a problem because I was a little unsure, because looking back, it looks crazy. But at the time, let's say that my other clients got me $40,000 a year, $50,000 a year. Mm-hmm. Well, at the time, that's a lot of money, dude. And I'm like, this is really stable. I'd be just deleting all of that, right? Yeah. To go do this new opportunity. It might be worth it, but there's still that stress, that fear of like, man, that's like a big vine that I'm letting go of, right? And what's that going to do to my relationships? What if it doesn't work out? Then what do I do? All this stuff. So you start playing that out through your head. And what I eventually decided was, and the other thing too, you asked about, did I want to move to Miami? Not particularly. I'm not really. I know you are like Miami T. You're the king of Miami now. This is what everybody's saying. I'm not a Miami guy. I'm not, the high-rise apartment on the beach kind of dude living in the city life. I don't like that. I like my space. I like my peace and quiet. I actually love the South. I was in Indiana at the time, but my family lived in the South. So I was like, I'm either going to be in the Midwest or the South. That's my vibe. Miami is cool to visit. I love visiting Miami, but like it didn't thrill me to actually move there. Plus it's so expensive. And it's so expensive. And one of the things that made me successful was keeping my overhead so low. Mm-hmm. And so I'm like, man, I'm giving up all of my clients except for one and radically increasing my overhead. This is a big ask, right? So I thought about it, and then I don't know what it is, if it's genetic, if it's cultural upbringing, or just the opportunity. I was like, what do I have to lose? I'm young. I'm not married. I don't have kids at the time. I was 27 years old, I think, 27 or 28, something like that. And I'm like, worst case, I move to Miami. I YOLO this thing. We go down there. It fails in a year. I'm not even 30 years old yet. I moved back to Indiana or North Carolina or whatever, rebuild my clients. I did it again. I'm not even 30 years old yet. Like, this is the time in my life to take a risk for a high reward. I should do that. What's the worst that could happen? Just like when I said before, if you look at the end of the game, like for my music career, I was like, if I win the game, I don't even want this. Well, on the flip side, I'm like, well, if the worst case scenario isn't even bad, dude, might as well just go for it, right? Mm-hmm. And so decided to pack up, and I took a few trips down there first, got to check it out. I debated briefly, like, well, maybe I can just like travel down here every other week or something. And then eventually I'm just like, nope, I'm moving down here. So Matt moved first, and then I move in the late summer of 2021. And we just start crushing that live show, the best business show.
Oh yeah, the best business show. I mean, yeah, that's how I kind of got involved. And before we move on, when you started video editing, did you go straight into Adobe Premiere Pro, or were you using like iMovie or CapCut or some other type of program? And then you just eventually, I guess, taught yourself everything. Is that correct?
I did. I was completely self-taught. I joked about YouTube University. In case that joke is lost on people, that means you're just scouring YouTube videos of how to do stuff. I just jokingly call it YouTube University, which is real, by the way. Underrated. You can learn anything
100%.
online now, especially with AI stuff now. Dude, anyone can do anything. It's great. In terms of the programs that I used, I started with Premiere, actually. I tried Final Cut and Premiere to start out with. Spent a lot of money that I didn't have getting these different programs, right? But I tried both of them. There's all these arguments for why Final Cut's better for people who use a Mac, Apple products, stuff like that. And they're right. It's faster, it runs smoother, all these different things. I just hated Final Cut. I hated the way it's organized. It's quote unquote too smart for me. Like it tries to do too many things for you. And I'm like, no, just do what I tell you what to do, right? Like just do the thing I want you to do. Premiere's a lot more straightforward. And so especially once I learned you could customize the keyboard shortcuts, I created my whole like keyboard shortcut layout that I still use today, where most of the things I use are in my left hand. I got my mouse in my right hand and I'm just like, just firing away through edits. I liked Premiere Pro and then and Lightroom. And so I just use those two things. And the funny thing about this is, again, I joke, I say I learned Premiere and video editing on the streets, dude. I didn't even know how to make thumbnails inside of Photoshop, dude. I made thumbnails inside of Premiere as a video and then screenshotted the video and used that as the thumbnail because I didn't know how to use Photoshop. So I started with that.
Okay. Got it. Yeah. And then we worked together. Well, you and Matt got down there first, and then I came, I don't know, probably a year later. And then, we were working in the office, and there was just a lot of things that you taught me. I remember I had a trackpad because I saw Kenny had a trackpad. I'm like, dude, that trackpad looks fucking dope.
First of all, don't listen to Kenny on this stuff. Don't listen to Kenny. Nah,
and then you're like, dude, you got to get a mouse. And then once I got a mouse, I was like, okay, that's cool. And then you showed me keyboard shortcuts. But yeah, there's a lot of things that I just appreciate that you taught me, like how to set up a studio every time we went in. Oh, this is where the lights go. This is how you make sure the SD cards are cleared. Just a bunch of stuff like that. So I do miss those days too, when we would all go in the office, rip a squat at your apartment, which was insane. Rip a squat and then go across the street and then like film a podcast. I'm like, I miss those days. And yeah, I think we're in the office, I don't know, for like maybe a year and a half. At least I was. But yeah, those were just fun times. Is there anything you want to speak about, like being in that office with all those guys?
It was great. I loved it, actually. I don't mind spending time by myself, but I really enjoy myself being around other awesome people. And so, yeah, going to the office every day, one, just seeing how Pomp worked and how he led and managed things was really good for me to see and experience. He's a great leader. Everyone in the office had a good mindset. Everyone's motivated. Everyone's fired up. And that's a really nice thing that actually now I miss working by myself, working from home all the time, just kind of solo more. I do actually miss that office environment. It is underrated.
No, I completely agree. And yeah, dude, to see Pomp every morning go into the studio, read his newsletter, and then go about his whole day. And I don't know, dude, there were some days where I think he filmed like 4 podcasts in one day and then went on like Fox that night. And no, I agree. Like seeing Pomp work like that was just insane.
Levels to this game, right?
Dude, yeah. Levels to the game is right. And then I remember when it was one day we were hanging out back by the studio in the edit room, and then Polina and Pomp come to us and like, we got to tell you something. And they told us that they were moving to New York, and we had, I think he gave us like 3 or 4 month notice or whatever. But I remember a comment you made where that initially hit me. I'm like, dude, shit, like this is my only client. I don't know what I'm going to do. But you said a comment, you're like, dude, this is going to be a good thing. And I didn't trust you at that point. I'm like, dude, what do you mean? Like, this is a blast hanging out with all these guys, coming in the office, filming people, meeting people. But you're like, dude, this is going to be a good thing. And I was like, dude, you're crazy. But it ended up being a great thing. So once Pomp moved to New York, you moved out of Miami. And then what was that next phase like? Because I assume you just went like client hunting, finding out anybody you can work with, just trying to get as much work as possible. So how did you land a couple of like your big clients?
That was an interesting time. I forgot that I said that to you, actually. That's so funny because that sounds like something I'd say. One thing I do say a lot is it's hard to tell the difference between good news and bad news when it happens. And it's true. Oh, I got this new client. Good news. Is it? What if they turn out to be terrible, right? Or maybe they're good. I don't know, but you just don't know. Oh, I just lost this giant client. Oh, this is terrible. Is it? Maybe that was in the way of your bigger opportunity. And it's just weird. You just live enough life and you see these things happen and these cycles happen. People come and go, job changes, whatever, that I'm just left with a sense of humility and somewhat of a little bit of open-mindedness and even confusion sometimes when things happen. I'm like, okay, this thing happened. We'll see. Like, I don't know. Like, it could be good. And I was probably just like spinning like my Jordy Long optimism on me a little bit. I was also just trying to psych myself up a little bit probably, but it did end up being a good thing. I agree. So yeah, that happened. As optimistic as I was, I did fully realize that this is a major change that's about to happen. This is going to be a big impact in my career, and it's going to take a lot to get out of that situation, basically. So once we got told that from them, first of all, I felt neutral about their decision to do that. I just thought, of course, this is their decision. They want to do that. Okay, go. Like, if that's good for them, why would they? I don't want them to stay in a bad position. Like, go do your thing, right? Mm-hmm. And then the one which also ties into a different lesson I've learned is that as a freelancer, especially if anybody's listening to this, doing their own business, video or otherwise, a good mindset to have is that every phase ends, every client will end, everyone you work with, you will stop working with at some point. So to know that going in, it changes how you act every day. It changes how you react to new clients or clients leaving. It's a good mindset to have. So when that happened, the first thing I thought was, well, I don't need to be in Miami anymore. This is great. Because I didn't really love being in Miami. It was a crazy time and I just it wasn't for me. And I didn't like paying so much. And especially after the prospect of, that client, not our work with Pomp, it didn't end, right? But just the structure changed. We weren't going to be making as much just because of the way it was structured. No shade on Pomp at all. It's just the business changed in a different direction. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, immediately, I need to get out of this extremely expensive city that I don't even like. And I need to replace my income pretty substantially, right? That was the challenge. And so this was in 2023, I remember. And 2023 into the first part of 2024, that was, man, I look back on that and that was a grind of grinds. I didn't stop working ever. I reached out to people, my current clients or past clients who needed stuff. I started talking to people around Miami and just found one by one little clients here and there. And we'll talk about this later about different models you can use to do video for your career. But if you want the model that is, hey, I need cash in this business as soon as possible right now, you just go, I'll make a video for you for this much, or I'm this much per hour, however you want to do it. And that's how you do that, because that's the quickest way. Even if someone just needs one video, you do it. You get the cash, boom, you can afford rent next month, right? And so I was in that phase of like, I need any client right now. Mm-hmm. So I started working with random people, a couple creators around Miami, a couple people who were remote, started rebuilding everything. And at that time, I was like, where am I going to move? I just instantly became a remote worker, so I could kind of move anywhere. Well, my parents had moved from Indiana back close to the rest of our family in North Carolina. And I was like, well, I'd love to go back to the South, but I don't know that I necessarily want to move back to where they live right now, which is funny because I live there now. Let me move to South Carolina, to Greenville, South Carolina, because that's a cool city. I've visited there before. One of my clients, Grant at the Strength Co., best barbell American-made equipment you can have. Go buy them right now. You will be weak without them. I moved, he lived there. So I was like, I'm going to move to Greenville, South Carolina. It's a cool city. It's in the South. It's closer to my family. It's right next to a main client that I have, and I'm going to rebuild from there. So that was great. I did that. I moved right downtown just to be in the middle of everything since I'd be by myself. Me and Grant keep doing great work together. He's awesome. Getting super strong, training all the time is awesome. And on a side note, unrelated completely to my career, but very important, in a month in, I met my wife, my current wife now, through Grant, through some mutual friends, just like, hey, come hang out, whatever. And we just met up, and that was like a month in or 3 weeks into moving to Greenville, South Carolina. And so It was great. It worked out beautifully because I rebuilt my client base. I was working way, way too much, but I was able to rebuild my income and met my wife, had great time in Greenville. I still love that city. Everyone should go visit there. It's awesome. Eat some good barbecue. And that's the mode I was in for a while. And I think that answers it.
No, yeah, that's crazy. And yeah, it's funny how I think Matt told me this. It's like you look back and everything plays out exactly as it should. Yeah, you find your wife, you build up your own client base. And no, that's great. So then how did you had Grant, how did you land Dave Rubin and then Shawn Ryan and some of those other clients? Was it just you reaching out to them, or did Pomp refer you to like a couple of them? And then that's kind of how you landed those huge ones.
One of the things that people have to know about video editing and video career and just freelancing in general is that your relationships are 80% responsible for your success. 20% is how good you are as a video editor. But if you've got good relationships, you've got a good network, that is the thing. That is the source of all your future work. Of course, you have to be good enough to do the work, right? If you're terrible and you can't do it, obviously that's the most important thing. Assuming you are good enough, I'm not even saying that you're the best video editor in Miami or wherever you are. You're good, right? Okay, solid. Always try to be improving. Of course, get better every day. But after that point, it's all relationships. And so to answer your question, all of that work came through relationships. Actually, so someone that we worked with in Pomp's office, Adi, she put on some post on Instagram that this is actually so random. She's like, I've got a client that, or I work with somebody that is looking for some graphic design work. DM me if you're interested and you do that and you want some work, right? So I'm like, so I DM her and we know each other. And so I'm like, hey, I can do some graphic design because I knew I'd done some thumbnails. And remember, this was at a time when I'm like, I lost 80% of my income. I have to rebuild right now. Any client that comes my way, I'm like, yes, I'll do it. I don't care what it is, right? Dude, one of my clients was a podcaster who did it was like a women's social podcast, like dating, bougie life, like things like that podcast in Miami. Dude, I'm not interested in that at all. She was really cool. No shade at all. I'm just saying it's like not something that I would naturally gravitate towards. But I'm like, at this time of my life, I'm taking anything I can get. So I see her post that thing about graphic design. I'm like, yep, I can do some graphic design. I don't know what it involves. Maybe it's above my head, but let me talk to her. It might be something, right? And that's the importance of always be looking for stuff, always be just sniffing out opportunities. So we get in a call and she's like, yeah, I'll set up a call with our team. We'll get on and just kind of talk through, see if it makes sense. And I'm like, sounds good. This is literally the information that I know right now. All I know is that it's people that they work with who need graphic design. Mm-hmm. We get on and then their team's like, hey, yeah, so for the Rubin Report show, we're going to need to be doing this stuff, and we probably need this much stuff. I'm like, wait. You guys work with Dave Rubin. And they're like, oh, yeah. Did she not tell you that? I'm like, no, she didn't tell me anything. Why would she not tell me the client? And then later on, she was like, dude, I can't believe I spaced it. I thought I told you. Oh, my bad. I'm sorry. It worked out for the best because they needed thumbnails, which was their graphic design, which is exactly in my wheelhouse, right? And so was able to start working with them. They're a great team. Loved working with them every second of it. In terms of Shawn Ryan, that was a similar thing where I saw he needed a video clip editor online. He posted that somewhere. And I was like, ooh, this is interesting. It says that I need to move to Nashville to do this, or the Nashville area to do this. I don't want to do that. And I'd be an employee of them, not like a contractor with multiple clients, right? Mm-hmm. But this is the thing though. Job postings aren't real. They're just their first guesses a lot of times. They might be serious about it, but my point is you should always just talk to people, because if you're like, they might just be thinking that in their head. They might be serious about it, but they might just be like, I think we want an employee. You probably need to move out here. Let's just put that in the posting, go. But then if they find someone that's really good and they love working with them and they're like, hey, I can do this. It's great. I'll charge you a fair price, but I don't really want to move. I can do this online. No problem. A lot of times they're like, okay, cool. Yeah, that works. Mm-hmm. That works just fine. So just a little tidbit of information for that. I did ask Pomp, and he graciously did like a recommendation for me for Shawn Ryan's team and everything. And so that was super helpful. Again, the power of relationships. And so it's funny. It didn't work out when I reached out to them and started talking to them. I did an interview with them. They were like, yeah, sorry, we're actually just like going to hire someone locally or whatever, but thanks for, talking to us. We'll contact you in the future if anything changes. And I was like, cool, that's fine. I don't care if it's a win or loss. I'm just like trying to stack opportunities because I know some of them are going to hit. You just stack opportunities. And then like 6 months later or something like that, the social media producer reaches back out to me and he's like, hey man, wanted to reach out. I know we talked before. Actually, we're having some trouble with our last guy. I'm not trying to throw shade on that guy. I don't know if it was like that he just wanted to do something different or move or something like that. But he's like, hey, would you still be interested on contracting with us? And I was like, absolutely, man, let's do it. So we work out that deal. And so I then start doing all of the clips for Shawn Ryan and his team. And I'm doing it remotely. So they send me the full episode, which Shawn Ryan episodes are like 4 or 5 hours, right? There's long episodes. No one does it like that team, by the way. You want to see some crazy, well-oiled machine, high-end production. Shawn Ryan's team, top of the top. Incredible. And so they wanted 7 to 10 medium-length clips, like 5 to 10 minute clips, thumbnails for all of those, and like 15 shorts out of them, every single episode. And so then he became my biggest client, right? So we're working with them for a while, and that's how it goes, man. It just is it's usually just people. I probably should be advertising and doing paid ads or something like that. It's all been word of mouth for me. I'm not saying that's how you should do it, but I'm just saying that's the power of just relationships and word of mouth. So, and then actually I got my current biggest client, David Rutherford, through Shawn Ryan, because guess what? Shawn Ryan and David Rutherford have been best friends for like 20 years. And so David Rutherford got an opportunity to do a podcast with iHeart Media. He instantly was like, I need a producer, someone to do all this with. He calls his best friend, Shawn Ryan, who happens to know a little bit about podcasting and media and video. And he's like, who do you have any recommendations? I'm looking for someone. And at this time I had stopped working with Shawn Ryan because they had their new studio built out. And at that point they did bring everyone in-house. So no hard feelings. It was just, they changed their structure and it was cool. And so Shawn Ryan, by the grace of God, again, was like, you need to call Jordy Long. And maybe it's just because we're both half Asian. He's looking out for me. I don't know. But funny story. We're both half Asian and we're both married to a woman named Kate. That's weird. So anyway.
Meant to be. That's crazy.
So anyway, he recommends me. And then that's how I start working with David Rutherford. And it just goes from there. Multiple stories like that for other clients as well.
No, that's amazing. And yeah, I remember you telling me early on, like right after we left Pomp, that video editing is 20% of it's actually editing. It's like 80% of it is the communication. And one thing that I think you do probably an unbelievable job of is like when you communicate with clients, I get in the habit of saying, okay, yes. But the vibes in the Slack, at least for Pomp, with you throw memes in there, you make it like fun, which I think Pomp appreciates and like we all appreciate. And I think clients appreciate that when you just like have great vibes when you're communicating and you're very responsive. And like you said, if you can crush that, you can figure out the video editing. So that's amazing. And another thing is, you told me that once you get connected kind of with like the internet and the YouTube, the back end, basically all the producers kind of know each other. So that's also kind of how I think you got to do the thumbnails for the All In podcast, because somebody knew someone on the All In team that needed a thumbnail, and then they knew someone on David's team. Is that correct? So it seems like everyone kind of in the back end is connected, and
it's a small world, dude. It's a really small world. Everyone knows everybody. And like I said, what you said, vibes matter, dude.
Yeah.
It's not everything. Vibes matter, assuming you do good work and you show up on time and you do things when you say you're going to do them, right? That's like standard though. That's like baseline. Of course you have to do that. Assuming you do that, just think about it. You have to hire one of two people. They're both equally good. They show up on time, right? They do a good job. One's awesome to work with and makes you feel really good and communicates really well. The other one just kind of like does their work and whatever, right?
Yeah.
Who are you going to hire?
Yeah, no, yeah, vibes, 100%.
Vibes, dude.
Yeah.
And then the other thing too is in business, people underrate this all the time, but yes, you have to have the competence of being able to do the skill of whatever service business you're doing. Of course you have to do that, but you only go into business with people that you trust. Trust is the most important thing in business. It's absolutely the most important thing, because I'd rather work with somebody. Let's say I'm running and building out an agency like you are, and I have a choice between two editors that I'm trying to hire, junior editors. They're both, one of them is pretty good, but I hate working with them. They're a pain to work with. They're a pain to deal with. And I don't necessarily trust their character very much, right? The other one barely knows how to use Premiere Pro, but is the coolest person, high integrity, high moral character, always showing up on time, very gracious, great attitude, wants to learn, right? Ambitious. I'm working with the second person because I can train the skill. You can train the skill. Figure that out. It's really, really hard to teach. Can I trust this person? Can I work with them for a long time? That is almost impossible to teach. I don't know how you train for that. You just have to find that. So if you find someone who's someone you like, you can trust them, they're fun to work with, and they do a good job, and they're upstanding and they do what they say they're going to do. Dude, I'll train you for the skill. I'd even take like a slightly lower skill for all of those other qualities. That's how important it is. And so I'm not trying to toot my own horn. I'm just saying this is a powerful tool that's existed for a long time. Relationships, trust, character, that is 80% of it. 20% of it is actually the service that you offer.
No, yeah, that's perfectly said. So to move on, I am currently trying to just expand my agency, take on more clients, but you, from what I understand, are going kind of the opposite route. You're dropping some of your big clients and you're starting businesses where you have potential upside in revenue share and equity. So what is your thought on building out an agency, taking on as many clients as you want, or just going all in on a couple of your big clients? And are you excited for like the next chapter? I'm sure it's going to be pretty nervous, but what are your thoughts on the agency versus just a couple clients?
I'm going to outline for you guys the entire videographer business matrix here, right? There's only a few different structures you can do. There's different video editors, there's different styles, there's different kinds of content, there's different types of gigs, clients, etc. But in terms of the actual structure, there's only like three or four ways you can actually do this. And every single one of them has pros and cons. It's like the famous Thomas Sowell says, like something about like life is just trade-offs, right? There's no, what do you say? There's no benefits, there's only trade-offs, something like that. Okay. I'm not smart enough to remember the quote exactly. So here are the, how many is it? Hold on. There's the pay per hour, like an hourly client. I have partnered with this client, so I share in the upside. There's the agency model, right? Where I get clients, I hire out the work with other editors. We grow from hiring. And then you can also grow from your own personal brand as a video editor, videographer, things like that. So there are 4 ways to build a video business. The first is I find a client, they want a video, and I say, I will edit your video for this much money. Does that sound good? And they go, yeah, you do it. And then they pay you money. All is good. Another form of that is say, hey, I know you want this many videos per month-ish, right? Sometimes it's a little flexible. Why don't you just get me on a monthly retainer? You're going to pay me this much money per month. I will do your weekly videos for in perpetuity, right? For however long you sign for, a year, 2 years, whatever. That's model 1. What are the advantages of that? The advantages are there's a ton of clients who need this, right? There's a ton of options. It's not that hard to find an hourly client. They might not be the one you want. They might not pay as much as you want, but they might, but they're everywhere. If you need cash today or this week or this month, go get you some hourly clients. That's the advantage of it. The disadvantage of it is that you've got 24 hours inside of a day. You can only do so many, and your workday, assuming you're just moderately successful, is going to get filled up pretty quickly. And then you can grow by charging more, by finding higher paying clients, but it's kind of growing linearly. Like you're not going to triple your revenue once you're booked fully. You're not going to triple your revenue inside of 1 year from doing this structure, right? You might be able to increase your prices 10%, 20%. Get one more client that pays you 20% more. Okay, you've made 30% more this year. Great, it's awesome, but it's not like explosive upside kind of thing, right? Mm-hmm. That's the trade-off. You're going to have a hard time growing, but it's accessible like right now. That's the first one. The second version of this the second model is I'm going to partner with someone on their podcast or their business or their real estate business or their product business, whatever it is. And I'm going to be your media team. I'm going to produce as much media as possible. I'm going to be your organic content engine and just flood the internet with whatever you need. If you need it, I can do it. Maybe there's a base pay, maybe there's not, but I'm going to get some percentage of our profit that we make as a business. And it's high risk for me, right? Because if the business does poorly, I do poorly. If the business does well, I do really well. In that case, well, you could reasonably double your salary in a year. You could triple your salary in a year with the same amount of time worked, because if the business is growing that much, you're putting in the same amount of hours, but you're just selling more. Okay, well, you got paid a lot more. What's the downside of this? Really hard to find someone to partner with. Those opportunities don't come around all the time. It's kind of a once in a blue moon sort of thing. And you got to be careful with who you partner with. Just like we went back to the whole trust conversation. It applies to you. They have to trust you. You have to trust them too, right? You don't want to partner with someone and tie yourself to someone's hip and their business just completely fails, or it's like, it just is not that good, or it's not that profitable, right? It's not going to work out. But if you can find a client like that, that's a way to untether your time from your income. That's one of the only ways to do it, right? So you have to partner with somebody. It's the second model. The third model is the agency model, right? Time tested, tons of people do it. It works. It's a thing you can do. And when you realize, hey, for me to take on more clients, I can't physically do it, but I could hire someone who needs work. I could train them how I do it. I'm going to pay them a little less than what I make, or if I'm able to charge a little bit more, I'm going to pay them a little bit less than what I would make, because I'm going to get paid for, I basically just sourced a client for this other person, right? They didn't have to go find them. They don't have to be responsible for that client. They didn't have to work out that deal. I just handed them work, right? I get a little bit of upside for that, but they get the majority of the revenue, right? And I keep a small margin. Once that works out, now you can take on more clients. You have their whole work schedule to deal with, or that can handle that work. Then I'm going to hire another person. Then I'm going to do it again. Next thing you know, you have 10 Tylers that are all working together every single day. You can just suddenly handle 10 times the workload, right? You won't make 10x the money because you're taking just a small cut of the clients of your other editors, but you can scale that to however high you want. You can hire as many people as you want. Once you get above, 5 editors, 7 editors, you need to hire a manager to manage those editors. Then you're managing the managers who are managing the editors, right? And so that's that business model. Tons of people have done it. It works. The trade-off is this. Your job now is not a video editor. Your job is a recruiter and a trainer and a manager. That is your new job. And you have to tackle the human employee problem, which is different than finding business or trying to get through all these video edits problem. You are now in the hiring and training and employee retention model, right? So that's the challenge of it. The benefit is you can make more money without more work. The challenge is you're now having to train people while also keeping your workload at the same time and getting them onboarded. And that but that period of, I have a full workload and but I need to find more clients and I need to hire somebody, but they can't really do the work yet. I have to train them. Getting through that initial phase, that transition phase before you have a fully ready to go trained client is really hard. And that's the moat that keeps people out of doing it. It's hard financially. It's hard just with your time wise, because you're going to be working more hours at first because you have to do your full client load and train and manage this person. But once they're good, now it goes back to what it was before, and now you're growing. Then you can easily repeat that again. You have to have really tight SOPs. You have to have training videos. You have to have standards for what you do. Once you do it, though, you can grow. The last one that I'll say, the fourth model, is just not quite, it's like a little bit of a tangent offshoot, but if you were to build your personal brand, right? Like you're doing right now, you start a podcast, you start training people online how to do it. You start making YouTube videos about your career. Now people follow you and see you as an authority in this space. Maybe you sell training courses for how to do this, how to get this job. Maybe you do consulting work because people want to learn from Tyler, not just from whatever. They want to specifically learn from you. Well, now you've also found a way to unhook your income from your time, and you can grow that way. So those are the 4 ways.
I completely agree. It's so hard to find someone who's starting from the ground up, who has like a good personality, wants to kind of share the revenue with you and grow with you. But to your point, like I think those are where the majority of the money is going to be made. And I completely agree that trying to scale this is going to be very tough, and that it comes more with like dealing with employees, recruiting, rather than doing the video editing. But I'm just going to try that route, see how it goes. And one thing I'm going to ask you is, what are you currently using in your business with like AI? I know you do a lot of like Remini for like AI graphics, Autopod potentially. What else are you using? Maybe pulling the transcript, summarizing the transcript for like newsletters. What exactly are you using AI for in your business currently? And how do you see that kind of evolving?
I use AI every single day, and I wouldn't call myself an AI fanatic. And I also wouldn't call myself an AI hater. I'm sort of neutral on it. It's just a tool like everything else, just like Premiere Pro is. The short answer is this. There's all this hype around AI, and that's the problem with it. There's too much overly hyped up. Oh, AI can do this thing just in seconds. It can do all this stuff, like just automatically. It's going to take all the jobs, blah, blah, blah. Maybe. I haven't seen it yet. And I know what I'm talking about with the video stuff. I've tried to use almost every tool you can think of, right? And I do use some of them. Here's what AI is good at, and here's what it's not good at. AI is really good at building the bricks for a house. It's really bad at building the house. So as a video editor, I can go in, I can use AI to create really cool images that I could not create on my own. I can use AI to create really cool B-roll of certain shots that I couldn't come up with on my own. I can take those things and then put them together inside of an image or a video, use the assets that AI creates to then edit it myself. I'm still editing it, but I'm now being powered by AI because I'm using the AI quote unquote bricks that are really good inside of my quote unquote house that's a video or an image, right? I also use it for copywriting. And so what you can do is, people talk about prompts all the time. Create a standard prompt. Say you're running a podcast and you have the transcript of the podcast and you have a prompt that's standard, and say, hey, AI or ChatGPT or Grok or whatever. For this, I use ChatGPT a lot. Different AIs are good at different things. I need a content package for this episode. Here's a transcript. I need 10 title ideas that are like this. I need a YouTube description. I need whatever else you want. Teaser text for thumbnails, anything like that. It's really good with creating language and processing language. It is a large language model after all, right? And then what you do is the same thing. It gives you all this stuff, and I would say it's all like 80% good, but it gives you a foundation to start from. And so I've got these 10 titles. 7 of those are terrible. 3 are really interesting. I'm going to take this part from this title and this part from this title and add a word in the middle of there. Boom, I've got a good title. That's where it does actually help you out. I'm not sure if it saves you time, but it does make it easier and gives you some ideas that you wouldn't normally think of. It can help you analyze your YouTube analytics. You can literally just take screenshots of your YouTube studio and be like, give me the performance assessment of this video. You can use your own experience plus the AI analysis to come up with, hey, this is what we've been doing. This is what's working. This is what we should do in the future. So I use it every day, mainly for copywriting, video ideas, strategic thinking, like how I should grow this podcast or how many clips should I do or my strategy for different things. It's a good brainstorming tool. That's what I'd call it. All in all, it's like a brainstorming tool. It gives you little ideas that then you as the person need to put together into something good. That's how I use it.
Got it. No, that makes sense. And yeah, it's crazy to see how it's evolved even in the past year. I remember when Opus Clip came out, I don't know, like 2 years ago, and everybody's like, holy smokes. But now it just seems like it gets better every day and every month. But okay, one of the last questions I want to ask you is, you recently went through life changes. You got married and you had a kid, cute baby. I got to hold her, and
you did.
That was amazing. Yeah, I'm glad you guys came down to Miami for that. But how has your routine changed with having a baby and you're married compared to when you were in Miami, just single, grinding? Because I currently now have a girlfriend, and even sometimes at night, my time gets taken up. Where back when I was single, I'm like, dude, I'll just work all day. How do you structure your day, and how do you manage your time now that you have a kid to care for and you're married and you got a lot going on?
It's a really important question. It forces you to get more mature with your thinking and your decision making. There's a phase one of this whole conversation that we're talking about, which is I am starting out and I'm trying to build this. What should I do? There's an answer to that question, which is work harder, do more work. Hey, you want to make more money? You want to be more successful? You want more clients? You want better relationships? Great. Work more. Work another hour. Add another hour. Work harder. Right? And the funny thing is that actually works for a long time. Right? So if I was talking to a very young guy who wanted to start getting into this, I'd be like, dude, prepare for the gauntlet. You are about to grind as hard as you've ever grinded for 3 years. And that's going to be what's going to make you successful, right? That's the answer. What I don't tell them is that that's not the answer forever. Just like in training, me and you were training for a while. I taught you a few barbell lifts, and we'd go lift in my Miami apartment gym, which you should show a picture of potentially. It's epic and just needs to be put into the record for all of time. And so you start with a linear progression, and that's the answer. But at some point, you can't add 5 pounds anymore, right? The answer changes. Does that mean that I should tell the person starting out, no, it's actually really complicated, dude. You shouldn't add 5 pounds all the time because technically, no, dude. When you're starting out, dude, work harder. That's the answer. Well, how this relates to getting married and have a kid, at some point, either because you just run out of time during the day, or because something like having a wife, having a child comes into your life, you cannot pull out the trump card of I'm just going to work harder to solve my business problems anymore. It is no longer an option. And now what do you do? Because you've never been forced to actually think at a higher level of my time can't go, I can't add more time or work into this. Now I have to think of other ways to grow or maintain what I'm doing, right? And that's hard. It's really scary because your identity has been in, I'm just going to be grinding. I'm going to work harder and harder every day. When that gets taken away from you, you have to level up your thinking. So what it does is it forces you to prioritize. And so having a kid myself, man, it changes a lot, dude. It does change a lot. In some ways it doesn't. I'm still just doing my thing. I still do what I do every day. It's whatever. I worked out this morning. It's cool. But in other ways, it is radically different. For example, for me, and I don't follow this, but I just made a big change in my life that maybe we'll talk about, maybe we won't, where I'm going to have some more time. I'm not going to be just infinite grind Jordy anymore. When it gets to be about 6 o'clock or so, 5 or 6 o'clock at night, man, I kind of need to stop working. I kind of do, because, and here's the thing, you want to. Previous Jordy would not want to stop. He's like, oh, I'll just work some more tonight, whatever. But man, that little girl's looking at you. She wants to play. You haven't seen her. Your wife's exhausted because she's been dealing with the baby all day and she hasn't had a break. Man, it'd be really nice to give her 30 minutes, an hour, or whatever to do some things she needs to do. And you're just pulled in different directions. And now all of a sudden, you're not just singularly focused anymore of make more money, be more successful. Now you've got 3 goals or 4 goals in your life that you're trying to maximize for. And that's a lot different and it's a lot harder, but it's also a lot better. You have a lot more of a balanced life. Some guys are going to say, forget all that. I'm trying to maximize my business success. Do it, dude. Go for it. You're going to work 20 hours a day in perpetuity forever. You're going to sacrifice everything to it. But if you want to do that, go for it. Someone said, who's smarter than me, said, you can have anything you want, but you can't have everything. Right? You can have anything you want. It's just like, what are you willing to pay for? What's the cost you're willing to pay? Well, for me, after you have a kid and wife, I'm not willing to pay the cost of 18-hour days anymore. Like, I will make less money on purpose and be happy about it to have some time back in my day for family stuff. And so on one hand, you're forced to, but on the other hand, it's a smart move. Once you've gone through that grind phase, it's good to have to rethink and start prioritizing what clients do I actually want to work with? Who am I as a videographer? What do I do? What do I care about? What do I accept in terms of clients and work that I want to do? What do I reject and say no to? Because no doesn't even enter your vocabulary for the first few years of trying to do this. It's just yes all the time. Like I was talking about at the beginning of this podcast. Yes. Can you do this? Yes. Well, now I got to pull out the word no. And that's a new thing. And I recently just made a huge change, and I've said no to almost everything except for a few focused opportunities, and that's it. So that's my answer, man.
Yeah, no, that's a great answer, and that makes complete sense. So you mentioned you said no to a lot of things. If you're willing to talk about it, I don't know, maybe you're not. What is like the next phase of your business / clients that you're working with? Like, what do the next 2-3 months look like, and what are your goals for 2026?
Right. Well, short answer is I have partnered with my client, David Rutherford. We're now business partners on his podcast. Everyone go watch the David Rutherford Show. It's on YouTube, iHeartRadio, all the podcast platforms. Like and subscribe, all the things. There's my plug.
Let's go.
Partnering with him in the business. He also sells online training. So that's going to be part of it as well. And so there's just times in your life where you see an opportunity and you think, man, I can't do everything. I have to focus. What am I going to need to focus on? And sometimes the risk is you've put too many eggs, you've put all your eggs in one basket. Sometimes the risk is you got too many baskets and you're not going to pay attention to anything as much as you need to make it work. So I hit a point in my life where I was like, man, I need more time. I need more focus. I need more time for my family. I need more focus in my business. And so I recently made the decision that I'm not working with any outside clients anymore. I radically reduced who I work with, and I'm going all in as the producer for the David Rutherford Show and also partners in that business. Also working with, won't talk about this right now until later, but working with a supplement company that David's also partnered with that's going to be launching this year. Stay tuned for that. And so, but that's still kind of inside and related to the David Rutherford world, right? But yeah, man, it's a big decision. Like I said before, I'm giving up some big clients for this.
Yeah, that's
right. But I made the decision. I'm like, I'm going to have to do that at some point anyway. Mm-hmm. I should just rip the Band-Aid off and just focus, dude. There's something about David Rutherford, Navy SEAL guy, former CIA contractor, Navy SEAL, Blackwater contractor, all this stuff like that. So he has used an analogy before of like room clearing. You see the guys like busting the door and they like have the guns and trying to like clear out the rooms and everything. And you got to be careful when you do that because you got to like not expose yourself too much, pie around the corners carefully, all these things. You don't want to get surprised by someone. But it's so funny because you can go too slow. You can be too careful. And that can get you killed as well, right? If you're too slow, too careful, well, one, there's probably a threat. You're probably trying to save someone who's in the building. So you can't be too slow because you don't get there in time, right? Also, if you're too careful, like the enemy can just overwhelm you and you're cooked that way. There's something about if I just bust in the door and violently and aggressively attack these corners, the enemy doesn't even know what happened. It's over before they even realize that you're in there. And so violence of execution, speed in its own way can sometimes be the safer move. I'm actually choosing that route right now where I'm like, it's a big risk giving up these wonderful clients that have nothing bad to say, only positive things to say about. It's great. I'm just making a career move. I'm going to say, I'm going to focus on this one opportunity and I'm going to go as fast and as hard as I can with this one thing and take it as far as I can go. It's a career move. It's a career risk, but at the same time, it's an opportunity. And so just felt like it was time. David Rutherford and his wife are amazing to partner with. They're great people. And I'm just so pumped to be able to change up my career, level up what I'm doing, and make this big change.
No, that's exciting. I mean, yeah, it seems like a great opportunity. I hope you and David take that show to the moon.
Like and subscribe, dude.
Yeah, like and subscribe. That I'm so excited for you. That's amazing. I am going to miss you in Slack.
Same to you,
but I know we got group chats where we'll stay in touch.
Don't talk about the group chats online, dude.
Yeah, I know, we got to scrub that.
We don't actually have a group chat, FBI. There's nothing going on there.
No, absolutely. Yeah. Well, cool. Well, I appreciate all that. Wish you success, and hopefully we can do this again in like a year or two and see where we are then. But I'm going to miss working with you. You taught me so much. I would not be anywhere near where I am today working with my clients if it wasn't for you. You taught me everything from basic like cropping on Instagram to how to blur. You literally taught me so much. So I very much appreciate that. And thank you for taking the time, because I know you could be working with a million clients right now. So thank you for the time. And I hope people learn from your story, and you have a whole lot of experience. So I hope they enjoyed this, and thank you for taking the time.
Thanks, man. That was very kind of you to say. It's been amazing to work with you too. No one's got better vibes than Tyler. Big T. So, let the people give a big ooh at the end of this.
Oh, yeah.
I appreciate it, man. You can follow me online. Just look up Jordy Long. I'm not even gonna tell you what it is. Just search for it and you'll figure it out. Follow David Rutherford,
yes.
David Rutherford Show. Obviously do that. And I'm just excited for the future, because if there's something that people could take away from this, I hope that people will see that, man, especially nowadays, you can just, I love the phrase, you can just do things. I've been saying that for years before that was popular. I promise I've been saying that. Like, you can learn stuff. And if you're a good person, you work hard and you grind, like, it's incredible the amount of opportunities that are in the world, and go get them, man.
No, absolutely. It's a great way to end. All right, man. I appreciate it. We'll see you all in the next episode.
See you later.